How are you?
I'm doing great. I just thought perhaps you'd like to tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and we can get right into our discussion about the Million Man March.
Oh, that would be great. As Max said, people call me Bob. I'm 75 years old. I was born in Oklahoma. I live in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan now. And I was a participant in the original Million Man March in October of 1995. And am very excited about this one coming up because I think that it is going to be a very rewarding experience for anybody that participates.
Yeah, but you know, one of the things I've been thinking about this particular march, Bob, is I'm a little apprehensive about it. First of all, what's the purpose of the march? I mean, I noticed that he has a theme out there called, when I say he, I'm talking about the minister Farrakhan. He's calling this march again as he did the one in 1995. And he has this theme called Justice or Else. Or else what? That's kind of, believe it or not, and I'm a military man, been in many wars, former law enforcement, but it sort of frightened me when he says, or else. How do you take that?
Yeah, I can appreciate what you say, Mac. It does have you might say kind of a threatening air to it, but I don't think that that's the purpose, because I don't know the Minister Farrkhan. I've only met him eye to eye and shook hands with him one time back in 1976. But I've watched him and followed him for a number of years, and he is not, in my judgment, a violent person. So I think when he says justice or else, he's saying that it's time for America and the people that control the purse strings of the world to begin to loosen up all those purse strings, or else the people who are being manipulated by them are going to at some point take some kind of retributive act towards them, because I think that's what he means. I don't think that he means himself is threatening violence.
Oh, well, that may be very well what you said, but I've heard him speak on several occasions immediately after that Ferguson, and how he has been pulling all of the gang members together and making statements like, well, I don't think we're going to take this anymore. You know, the young people are not going to take this here, this killing and everything that's going on by the policemen and all of that. So it's going to be something much more, they're going to be more proactive, and he didn't use the word fight or anything like that, but I think there's a lot of insinuation in that, in what he was saying.
I understand perfectly what you're saying, and I do agree with you that that justice or else can be interpreted just as you have articulated. I believe that's true. I on the other hand think that and let me say this. I think that you're also correct when you suggest that many of the young people that may be listening to this message, justice or else, who may be inclined towards violence, might interpret that message as giving them the signal to go out and create violence. But I don't think that that's his message. I think that the Minister Farrakhan is a very spiritual man, and I think that if that's what happens as a consequence of the people who attend the Justice or Else March, if they interpret his statement to me that they are to go out and create violence, hurt people, I think they're misinterpreting his message. But I agree with you that many many who may not understand the depth of the message may interpret it to me that they could go out and burn and perhaps even hurt other individuals.
Well, I heard him recently, I guess sometime this past month, where he was speaking with the Night Wolf. I believe that's his name. He's an Indian, a Native American out of Washington D.C. He has a radio show there.
Yes.
And I heard them discussing the fact of what had happened down in South Carolina with the young man down there who was killed by a police officer and shot in the back, I believe. Several.
Oh, yes. I saw that on TV.
Yeah, and they were discussing that, and they were saying that a lot of, and then they were also discussing the fact about the church that in South Carolina that had been, where the individual had gone in there and killed 8 or 9 parishioners in that church on one particular evening, while they were in there for Bible and prayer service. And I'm just one of the statements he made. He said these people said they forgive that guy. How can they forgive him? Is what I heard the minister say, as if though, and like you just made the statement, he's a spiritual man, but isn't that the spirituality if is taught that you forgive your fellow man for whatever the act may be?
Well, you may well be correct about that, Mac. I'm not as learned along those lines, and so but I would say this, that I think, and you said that in that discussion that he had with this radio commentator, that they said that they could not forgive them. Is that your point?
Well, they were seen to be mocking the people who stated that they forgive, like the mother, I believe, of someone who was related to some of the people there in that church, or the person that got shot said they forgive the.
I see your point.
Yeah.
Well, now let me tell you my personal attitude towards that. I would find it very hard to forgive, and I consider myself a Christian, but I'm not a learned Christian. I try to live according to the tenets of the Bible and what God would want me to do. But let me say this: I find it very hard as a person who tries to live according to the laws of God to forgive what was done to those people in that church in Charleston. I think, and again, this may sound somewhat strange, but I think that killer represented the devil. And I think that even Christians have a right to not forgive the devil for some of the stuff that the devil does out here on a daily basis among us who are trying to live as good human beings. So I can understand how those two people may not be as forgiving in their heart of that racist who shot those black people in Carolina, because and frankly I noticed how after he was arrested he was treated as if he was just someone who had gone in and perhaps stole a loaf of bread from Kmart or Walmart. They put him in the squad car. They knew he had a gun in in the car, they didn't do anything about that. They were very, and I saw this on television. So now, if it was staged, that's what I saw. But they took him to a big boy, got him a hamburger. Well, now I'm a black man, and I think that if I had gone and killed 9 Caucasian people in a church, and they were looking for me, and I had the gun on me, I may have been shot with a bazooka, Mac.
Well, I agree with that. You would have been. I mean, I don't think you would have. I think that car you would have been driving or been in would have been so riddled with bullet holes that no one would have been able to survive.
That's right.
If they were inside of it.
That's my point. But so I would find it hard. So I while I'm in, I don't know. I'm going to have to look at that interview more thoroughly. I just saw a snippet of it, but I don't know. I don't believe let me put it this way. I would find it hard in my heart of hearts to forgive that devil for doing what he did in that church in Charleston. I mean, here were people who were trying to communicate with the God of their understanding, and here the devil walks in and takes their life. It reminds me of the parable that I heard where Jesus had gone to pray, and the devil approached him and told him, if you'll listen to me, I'll give you all of the kingdoms of the world. And God told him, get behind me, devil. Well, see, God had the power then to perhaps extract his life, but God was not a killing God, and that's why I think that the minister Farrakhan tries to follow the tenets of God, and I don't think that he's preaching violence by justice or else.
Well, that's a good point you bring up there, and I would hope not as well. I was also at that 1995 Million Man March, and I took my son and a friend of his, took him out of school for that particular, with my son's friend parents' permission, and we went over there, and I was really I'll never forget it. I really had a great time, even though I was sick with a flu-like cold that particular day. But as the day went on, I felt much better, and I was really inspired. And what did they wanted all of us to come back here and work in our communities. And I thought surely that we were going to have some type of a plan of action that the minister and Ben Chavis, who was at one time the president of the NAACP, he was also one of the organizers of that particular march. But nothing happened. I noticed as soon as we got back, the minister took off and went to the Middle East.
Yes.
And we never heard anything else about what happened with all of the money, because I can remember all the baskets and the boxes and just handfuls of money passing up, and we were passing them up to the front. And I never did know the official count of that money, but if we had 2 million men out there as he stated, and we gave an average of $20 a man, that was a lot of money. Don't you think so, Bob? And don't you think it should be accounted?
That's an enormous amount of money, man.
And what I'm thinking about is that was a great opportunity that the minister had at that particular time to really lead and start black businesses in these United States, as Dr. Claude Anderson has so adamantly talked about for the last 20-25 years. And it would have been a great start to open up a bank to loan money to various people in the community who wanted to start a business, and also set up a training facility to train people how to run business, how to keep books, and to do all of these things that's necessary for us to build an economic base in our communities without having all of these various other ethnic groups coming in and taking over and making all the money and taking it right back out of the community. And then that's why we have so much strife now in our community. But I'm not going to, but we're going to cut this here short for right now, Bob. And we will...
let me say this before you do.
Okay.
I agree with everything you've just said. The only thing that I would want, I don't know what happened to the money, and perhaps we could get a late and after the fact accounting, but I agree with you that if we as a people are going to survive, as Dr. Anderson says, we're going to have to be responsible for our own economic development. And I think that's your point, and I agree with